We're now going to move from weddings to hockey arenas with Professor Dan Mason, who's from the Faculty of Kinesiology, Sport and Recreation, who's going to speak on hockey arenas, status, and the quality of life in entrepreneurial cities.
Today I'm going to be talking about National Hockey League arenas and more specifically about the broader development that occurs around those facilities and whether or not they can be leveraged to increase status and quality of life. And so I think this is an important topic because it's an ongoing policy issue. It tends to be a hot button issue in cities. People feel very strongly about the use of public money for private interests, particularly fat cat hockey team owners and that sort of thing. The academic research suggests that some of the economic expectations that are proposed by proponents aren't necessarily being met. There is evidence to suggest that there's intangible benefits, but not necessarily the same amount that equals the public subsidy that goes into it. Nevertheless, there's significant public funds that are going into these projects. And so really what I'm interested in is what cities get in return for their investment in these kinds of projects. And by extension, what do they really want to get in return? So I'm really interested in looking at that from a number of different perspectives, looking at media discourse and doing interviews and talking to the people involved in these decisions. So really, competition sort of undergirds the reason why I want to look at this. And in many respects, this is the perception of competition, not competition itself. And so within that, we have this notion of status, civic status, status signals, and status hierarchies. And so if you talk to people who live in cities, they all will kind of tend to agree that a city will fit within a certain position within a status hierarchy of cities. Where they disagree is what you would need to have in order to move within that hierarchy. And so that tends to be the argument that's going on. But what we really know is that some of the decisions that are being made are because cities or city leaders, political and business elites, are trying to move within the status hierarchy. And they think that by having an amenity like a new museum or an art gallery or performing arts center or a sport and entertainment district is somehow going to move you within that, ideally upwards in that hierarchy. And so really what they're trying to do is justify doing this because by moving up in the hierarchy, you're going to make yourself a more attractive place to live, to work, to visit, to invest your money in, to relocate your business to, and that sort of thing. So we really need to think about the district as an amenity, as something that, if you think of a city as possessing a bundle of amenities that make it a great place to live or work, that having a certain number of them, whether they're built or natural amenities, is going to give some kind of status to the city that then factors into all these decisions that people make about where they live and work. This is an ongoing project, but I think one of the most important takeaways is that the arena is really not a discrete amenity. We have a tendency to try and look at and evaluate the public investment in these things in terms of just how much you're getting back from the team or the facility itself. But really what we need to do is understand just how the role that it plays embedded in a much broader development of the city. So what are the projects that are going on in the city? What is the bundle of amenities that the city possesses that makes it an attractive place to want to move to or to visit and that sort of thing? And so I think that where we're going with this, or where I'm going with this research, is this notion that quality of life is the status signal. So once upon a time, you would build an opera house, and then that would confer some status onto your community. It's not really about that. It's about the contribution of those discrete amenities and how they combine to contribute to quality of life that ultimately will be the status signal. So if we're looking at the attraction and retention of capital, really quality of life is going to be what we're looking at in the long run. And so I think that we need to examine projects like arenas in terms of the manner through which they contribute in a specific community towards the broader quality of life of that city. And in doing so, that hopefully will give us a better sense of whether we consider these valuable investments or not. Thank you.